My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft.
"5:56 a.m. maintaining ongoing serial flight." This is the second plane, but this is where the entity maintains that serial flight and is doing so with the same criminals of the Over Family Community Library that are inside of the Page 1 Cafe. They enter in, crossing path in doing so, maintaining criminal presence conspicuously. And the entity that is already stalking is now crossing path via a commercial plane over the same venues where there are no plane takeoffs, over a senior citizen complex, over the Ontario City Hall, over the Ontario Senior Center at 5:57, 5 anything in the morning. This is P.O.C. "6:01 a.m. All right, and the domestic enemies, who are the people of the state, are engaged in stalking just as well. They're doing so by walking through the Ontario Civic Center. Domestic terrorism is occurring under the guise of walking their dog, walking toward the park, just walking, pushing a stroller. They're stalking with the U.S. military in furtherance of murdering someone in plain sight. This is the levying of war by the people of the state who are enemies to this country while they are engaging in what is real-time criminal activity with the U.S. military that is, again, stalking by commercial plane. It is 6:02 a.m. The U.S. military using the smaller aircrafts crossing path in the same criminal manner as the commercial airline companies do. Doing so moments later at 6:04 a.m. in concert with the third-party company Securitas that is engaged in what is sexual assault and battery routinely while they are mentally ill gang members molesting me with light during the day under the fake sun and at nightfall under the fake moon as third-party employees of the terrorist Securitas, doing so while they're engaged in criminal activity, while they're being paid as employees. This is that public corruption. This is that federal RICO case. And this is the people of the state levying war against American citizens that they're criminally keeping under surveillance and furtherance of murdering them, while the U.S. military aids in what is criminal activity, stalking via criminal surveillance over the sky space and in an area that is entirely inappropriate. It is out of the norm on its face as I analyze the facts for you. But it is, even if where it's occurring on the grounds of the airport, the U.S. military is being federally prosecuted for criminal surveillance. It is known who it is, and it's also the criminal purpose that is also identified and understood as well. And the entities engaging in this in concert with, in reliance upon, the enemies of the country who are the people of the state. It's 6:05 a.m., where the entity is using a smaller aircraft to do the same criminal conduct. Stalking. P.O.C. Six oh eight a.m. Essentially 15 seconds later, 6:09. Now it's 6:10 a.m. This is the U.S. military that is coming streamlining plane after plane. They're not takeoffs from the airport. This is obvious. For them to engage in this frequency, you have the U.S. military. You have a group of these homosexuals that are enemies of this country that are using the training that they have to levy war against American citizens. And they're doing so against one that is prosecuting them. P.O.C. 6:10 a.m. And this is the threat of the mentally ill that are making up the U.S. military. This is clearly distinct from any operation of the Ontario International Airport. It's the military that's engaging in that, and the Ontario International Airport is being shut down for it. They're being federally prosecuted as well. It is levying war while you're cooperating with the U.S. military to target and engage in what is attacking American citizens in furtherance of murdering them. This is the entity engaging in a cartwheel. 6:11 a.m. P.O.C. 6:11 a.m. This is over the 55 plus senior citizen complex in the Ontario City Hall. Be mindful of those facts. This is the same evidence. This is diagnosis via federal prosecution. The entity is going to be subject to commitments in addition to a federal prosecution as treasonous, betrayers of this country, engaging in what is war in the United States against the American people. And this is deranged, mentally ill behavior, breaking down actually what they are engaging in, what their demented minds' objective include is to engage in what is pacing, psychopathic pacing in the engineered environment. This is why the U.S. military is engaging in what is flight after flight after flight, and the people of the state who are demon possessed engaging in what is crossing path repeatedly, such as what you see on the freeway, but they're doing it under a fake sun. This is mentally ill behavior that they share, and it is actually ritualistic, and it's entirely mentally ill. This is what the U.S. military is performing right now over a senior citizen complex, over a government building, which is the Ontario City Hall, doing so over the Ontario Civic Center, and it's entirely mentally ill, even outside of your knowledge of what is the fake sun and the fake moon. This is very much a diagnosis via federal prosecution. 6:13 a.m.
You will see the people of the state engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct with the U.S. military under the fake sun. That's in perfect alignment with where I'm located at the Ontario Civic Center at 6:26 a.m., where the entity is engaged in gang stalking together. They are in sync. They are on one accord. They are acting in concert with regard to targeting, with regard to levying war in the malicious manner that the people of the state do so with the U.S. military at all places and at all times. This is the entity engaged in this. I'm going to capture another. This is the entity maintaining ongoing psychopathic pacing. This is demonic activity that the U.S. government is attacking American citizens with, which is psychological torment, while they engage in literally physically stalking you and also maintaining an entire demonic environment. And they are the mentally ill. This is P.O.C. It is currently 6:26 a.m. And this is also the criminal activity, the federal RICO case against the commercial airline companies, which does include American Airlines. And it's also the criminal means whereby the people of the state are being federally prosecuted as domestic terrorists, sharing in the pattern of conduct. That's why the fake sun is here. That's why they're walking their dogs under that fake sun in that engineered light that's placed that you're supposed to be ignorant about. You're supposed to look at an illusion and believe it and not suspect anything, and also be falsely depicted as mentally ill, were you to seek to enforce your rights absent any evidence, which is the P.O.C, for you to witness the downfall of Satan and all of his minions who are being prosecuted for treason in the United States. It is currently 6:27 a.m.
$6:32 a.m.
That's Southwest Airlines in sync with two demons who are the people of the state pacing through the Ontario Civic Center. And Southwest Airlines and these two demons represent the people of the state, the entity, that are sharing a pattern of conduct. And this is just my immediate environment regarding those that are engaging in what is the crossing of path in the engineer light, where the fake sun is positioned. That's the center of the zone of relevant positioning. The entire city of Ontario is gang stalking. The people of the state, the U.S. military is being federally prosecuted. Securitas is maintaining light activity. Left the golf cart there.
and that's all that's needed. Left the light on the golf cart, and the fake sun you can see is in alignment with where I'm standing. This is the same position of the fake sun that I'm documenting hours from now yesterday during the 9 a.m. hour, where I'm standing at this same Ontario Civic Center at the Ontario City Hall. This is where I am present, for example, on March 3rd, 2026, after the Ovitt Family Community Library provided a written admission regarding targeting me with the U.S. military, and I remained throughout the day, and the entity keeps the fake sun into the afternoon. This is where the U.S. military are demons levying war in concert with the people of the state. That has a legitimate function. It's noise in the light under the fake sun, where the U.S. government is practicing witchcraft before your eyes, and the entity is going to be subject to what are mental institutions for it. It's mentally ill behavior. It's criminal. It's in furtherance of murder. It's in furtherance of psychological torture. It is absurdly psychotic. And it is also that which is not fruitful for the entity. And yet, as delusional, mentally ill actors, they are persisting in that which is not successful for them. And they also seek to, as the U.S. military and the people of the state, who have a role under the Constitution, by the way, they seek to engage in success regarding the terror and the harm of American citizens, which is war in the U.S. And it is absolutely aid to enemies of the U.S. And this is the U.S. military that is a domestic terrorist to those in the United States, such as myself. And the entities engaging in what is absurdly demented behavior, such as engaging in cartwheels and engaging in what is psychopathic pacing, hovering, doing so in helicopters, doing so in military aircraft such as jets, doing so while they are pacing with the people of the state. And that's exactly what they're doing. And they're doing it outside of a government building. The entity doing so again right now, while the demon is walking in alignment to the Ontario City Hall in a yellow jacket, maintaining that same crossing and path, which you are aware. This is the entity, as I'm logically breaking down what they've been doing for years. This is the U.S. military, the United States government itself, that is on assignment to engage in war against American citizens, which is, again, not specifically contemplated under the U.S. Constitution. The entities engaging in what is war against the American citizens in concert with the constituents of the state. And this is, again, a basis of, it's an unprecedented basis for prosecution under Article 3, Section 3 regarding treason. And the entity is subject to what is also necessary as a matter of justice, martial law. Okay, this is P.O.C. The mental illness is also what is necessitating martial law. This is 6:36 a.m. All right, today, May 6th, Southwest Airlines is scheduled for a 6:40 a.m. flight. Flight number Wendy Nancy 3675 to Sacramento. And that is not this. This is FedEx that is hovering. The entity utilizing UPS and FedEx and Amazon Prime Air with regard to what is corruption and the inability to recognize the ways in which they're going to be federally prosecuted for terrorism with the Ontario International Airport, which represents the people of the state, the public entities that are aiding the United States military and levying war. That is the people of the states levying war against American citizens by providing planes that in your mind think because there's no assigned gate or terminal that it is any less criminal monitoring, that it is any less unlawful, any less of a nuisance, any less of improper with regard to the zoning, any less with regard to what is stalking as that same entity. This is an entity that is, again, the so-called U.S. military that are not the elite. They are not the best. They are not the brightest in the country. These are homosexuals that have associated their perverted and infected genitalia with witchcraft that they thought was going to affect me, my intellectual abilities, my ability to prosecute, my ability to articulate, my ability to put common sense together and also explain it to you, all the witnesses, regarding what Satan is doing amongst a lost people. Okay? This is mental illness that the entity suffers from. And FedEx and American Airlines are sharing in criminal activity. This is the P.O.C. This is what the entities engage in, and this is the backfire of stalking. Now, everything that they're stalking where they thought that that was an advantage, it's actually an ongoing admission regarding not only the knowledge of being documented, which is painting you as a particular type of predator and a psychopath, but it is showing you to be one that doesn't even know what to do with the information that you have while you are admittedly stalking under all circumstances, which I am therefore using against you. Okay, this is the entity that calls itself jumping against the gun. Southwest Airlines has a flight at 6:40, and as I review that on my device, that is under surveillance, absent any warrant or probable cause by the Ontario Police Department or the U.S. military. Or the people of the state, all of whom are engaging in criminal surveillance together. The entity is flying over by a FedEx plane, which also is equally improper in the sky space, and that is very clear without any controversy within the walls of the federal tribunal, where FedEx, the U.S. military, the city of Ontario, and the people of the state, including FedEx, the company, are going to be federally prosecuted. And this is treason. This is treason. High treason. This is P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 6:42 a.m., where the people of the state are sharing a mental illness. This is a ritual while they're under the fake sun, walking back and forth and flying. And they do this in furtherance of murdering people. These are the ones keeping my vagina under surveillance, walking by you like nothing is happening, doing the same thing while the entity is stalking by helicopters, doing so, taking a brief little jog, morning walk under the fake sun. These are the domestic terrorists that are enemies of the country. P.O.C. And this is the threat that the betrayers of this country, like the Ontario Police Department and the U.S. military, serve while you have what is public corruption embedded into society. Okay, and as they do it without any regard, looking like they are unaware of what you're saying, unaware of your present, disregarding, nonchalant, that's not evidence of innocence, it's evidence of evil. They're very much aware of the entity. They are obsessively consumed with monitoring me. I've shown that obsession. These are the same people driving by and engine lights flying off of your car. Okay, there is no facial expression or outward demeanor that is disproving the pattern of conduct. These homosexual, demon-possessed, gang-stalking psychopaths who are delusional, who are accustomed to lying and making things up and treating it as fact amongst gang members, have lost in the endeavor to successfully engage in what is targeting someone in a whole alternate reality. Because that's literally everything that they're relying on is hot air. You rely on this, it's not evidence of ignorance because they keep doing it. It's evidence of maniacal psychopaths. Maniacal. This is Satan in operation. Satan knows that he's done. Satan knows he's going straight to hell. Satan knows that he has a limited amount of time. And what is Satan doing? He still gets up and does it every day. That's what the demon-possessed are doing. And when I say lost, I mean lost. You're going to prison. You're going to compensate me. You're going to be defunded. You will no longer exist as an entity, as a company, as a community, as a department. You fill in the blank, and they are still engaging in it. And they're not getting paid. They're not going to see the dividends. They're not going to see the fruits. They're going to see the inside of facilities. They're going to be deported out of this country. They're going to be prosecuted as terrorists. And the entity is proceeding. This is the U.S. military. These are enemies of this country. That's Union Pacific. That's audible activity. Everything you hear under this fake sun. That's the U.S. military now hiding the plane, engaging in what is a cartwheel, okay? Knowledge of where I'm at, listening to everything that I'm stating about them while they're still stalking. This is diagnosis via prosecution, okay? P.O.C. It is currently 6:45 a.m. And the entity is maintaining flight. 6:55 a.m. Southwest Airlines is scheduled for a flight number Wendy Nancy 113 that's headed to Denver out of gate 403, where there will also be no flight over the Ontario Civic Center in order to conduct that flight to a destination, the completion of that takeoff over the sky space of the airport, and not deviating northwest and then hovering over 4 miles away from that airport to stalk me in a Southwest airline plane that's going to Denver. This is the pattern of conduct. It is currently where you hear Securitas, psychopathic pacing on the golf cart with light activity. She's monitoring. Just like Leo at nightfall. Leo's going to federal prison.
Okay, Leo's engaging in what is the criminal pattern of conduct with the U.S. military. He's mentally ill. Okay, this is another third party that's sharing in the corruption of the entity. And this is, again, the casualties of a corrupt U.S. military that's engaged in criminal activity with a population. And this is a population that is very much in need of isolation from the rest of the American public for the protection of protection of the American people. P.O.C. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes, and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state. And it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. Ill behavior that the United States military is engaging in, and they're doing it with the people of the state. So psychopathic pacing, very much demented behavior. They're engaging in cartwheel after cartwheel after cartwheel. Alaska Airlines, UPS, the entity engaging in this over the Ontario Senior Center, the Ontario City Hall, the John Stewart Company Senior Citizen Apartment Complex, where everybody here is 55 and older, and the fake sun that is here at 7 in the morning. And the first thing to understand is the setting, so that you can understand the significance regarding the severe mental instability that you are witnessing. The fake sun that is here as I documented, for example, March 22nd at 5:46 p.m. The fake sun that is here right now is the light source that is here, like I documented, March 22nd, 2026, where I'm sitting here at the Civic Center at the Ovid Family Community Library, where the entity is flying plane after plane after plane, and demon after demon after demon are engaging what is crossing path together. They're doing so in that specific environment. They're doing so while they are targeting as an entity. This is a demon that knows where I'm at in this truck at the end. Backing up is the means of pacing, monitoring together, while the U.S. military maintains an ongoing failed experiment. The experiment is how is the federal government going to respond to what is an unprecedented basis regarding warfare, levying war against American citizens in the United States. That's where the experimentation, which is to the demise of the mentally ill that are currently the homosexuals that are making up the U.S. military, engage in what is mentally ill behavior. Securitas, under the fake sun that's still here at 5:46 p.m., just as one example, because you know it's also remaining over me in Upland, California, and you also know that Michael Dorsey is gang stalking me when I'm walking out of that library at 6 p.m. and it's remaining there. This is where the commercial airline companies are sharing in psychopathic behavior. This is the wing of a plane while the military is engaging in a cartwheel. What they just committed right now while I'm going into video, doing so with the demon that's crossing path. This is the ceremonial conduct of crossing path, and the more that I document, the more that the demons engage. This is their psychopathic behavior. Remember, as I'm documenting, it's spiritually significant to the demons who are mentally ill. They are more inclined then, rather, to engage in more and more of their behavior as the demons are hostile, and they engage in more, which is also psychological torture, which the United States military is, and the people of the state who are corporate entities are going to be federally prosecuted for. This is intentional, knowledgeable, malicious, and mentally ill behavior under what is a fake sun that's still here at 5:46 p.m. during daylight savings time. This is a demon. This is the people of the state that are domestic terrorists levying war against American citizens who do not have the evidence, let alone the knowledge regarding the environment that they're in where they're being gang stalked.
Okay, this is the entity that's engaging in that together while they are under that fake sun, maintaining means of presence. Page 1 cafe. The page 1 cafe having the fake sun over me while I'm making a purchase inside at after 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Very intentional and knowledgeable, in concert with the entity Alaska Airlines that is taking no flights to Honolulu at any time by flying over the senior center. Okay, but let me just go ahead and show you briefly what the entity is doing while they're engaging what is ongoing flights. The entity that's maintaining flights is doing so outside of what's published on the for the departures regarding any South Alaska Airlines flights. Okay, the entity is maintaining this pattern of conduct while they are doing so outside of what is not only published, but they're doing so outside of what is nature. Okay, this ongoing psychopathic pacing is relevant to what is mentally ill behavior under a fake sun. So this is breaking down the demented mindset behind the homosexuals that also are using. You're understanding the STD status of the U.S. military. This entity that's infected, massive infection of STDs. This is directly relevant to their mental illness. They are associating their demented sexual acts with their criminal activity against the person that they are targeting. They are literally associating their genitalia, their sexual activity with the livelihood, the well-being, the demise of people that they are very much targeting through their sexual activity. This is relevant to what is mentally ill behavior. And the entity that is suffering from incurable STDs, like the U.S. military, are those that are going to be subject to what are mental examinations while they are engaging in criminal activity. And like I stated, their homosexuality, their illicit and reckless sexual conduct is relevant to their psychopathic disorders, where you are also watching them use commercial planes engaging in what is psychopathic behavior. Not only because of what they are doing, literally repeatedly going over one person over and over and over again, that is beyond merely stalking. Understand that. You know where I'm at. You know what it is that I'm doing. The entity that's engaging in what is psychopathic pacing, by doing so under a fake sun, is engaging in that which is mentally deranged. It is beyond mere stalking. This is an entity that's also doing so while they are associating their infected genitalia, which they are sharing amongst each other and other people unsuspecting, in order to spread that infection to other people, while they are calling themselves engaging in what is witchcraft. This entity that's engaging in this witchcraft conduct is that which is relevant to their mental instability. Okay, it is literally a behavioral health concern to the public, where you are sexually reckless, where you are engaging in public corruption, where you are doing so as an entity, and you are in your mind associating that with the demise of a person who is absolutely distinct and has nothing to do with what it is that you're doing in the bedroom with however many people, however many animals, however many people of the same or different gender that you engage in. But the mentally ill that are the U.S. military and the people of the state, that's exactly what they practice. While they are being documented, moreover, and given evidence in the physical regarding what is their failure in their so-called witchcraft in the spiritual. The very fact that I'm documenting, the very fact that I'm reciting it, the very fact that I'm putting it on the internet. And yet they proceed. This is also relevant evidence regarding severe, life-threatening mental illness that is a disruption, that is a threat to the public. This is someone that is very much engaging in the pattern of conduct in concert with the U.S. military, that is doing so under a fake sun that they very well know is here until the evening. If I do not leave, that fake sun does not leave. This is the pattern of conduct that is shared with the entity that is stalking outside of even the published scheduled regarding the Ontario International Airport, while they are engaging in this mentally ill behavior. This is the entity that is being prosecuted for treason. This is the government, the U.S. government, that's engaging in what is acts of war, levying war against American citizens. This is an entity that is doing so in concert with the people of the state, who are sharing in levying war against an American citizen, against the United States, against what the United States Constitution stands for, maliciously doing so while you are literally entrusted with protecting the United States, enforcing the United States interests, which is distinct, while you are targeting American citizens, which is what the United States military is doing. And they are doing it maliciously, seeking to criminally defame an American citizen. That's what's behind the Ontario International Airport providing any flights to, any commercial airline companies for the entity to engage in what is gang stalking, which is what is happening at the Ontario Civic Center, where you are looking at the fake sun that is still here until the end of the day, where this is the psychopathic pattern of stalking in the environment, using their communication devices, maintaining criminal surveillance, doing so at all places and at all times. Okay, this is P.O.C. It is currently 7:12 a.m. Alrighty, at 7:12 a.m. you can see there's no flight scheduled for the airport. And this is the ongoing mentally ill behavior of the entity that is indeed stalking. You can hear the plane activity. Literally, the mentally ill behavior continues as you document it. And the entity is engaged in trying to conceal its ability to visibly see them, where you can hear the plane activity, which you're not going to hear from the airport, where they're taken off from the airport. This is the entity that is, again, trying to hide where it's located. It's engaging U-turns. That has nothing to do with the destination. And there's also no published flights. This is shared pacing on the roads and the highways. Shared pacing while they are pacing. Where the fake sun is where the focal point is, okay? This is P.O.C. and it's indeed psychopathic, while the U.S. military are maintaining a line of planes doing the same thing over and over again. This is beyond stalking. This is the threat to the American public regarding the mentally ill that are making up the U.S. military, targeting American citizens. In concert with the people of the state under the fake sun. This is monitoring. And this is the behavioral pattern, which is a public safety concern regarding mental illness that is shared by the entity that is gang stalking. That's millions of people, the entire city of Ontario. And as you've seen, the entire city of Fontana, where the specific environment, this is speaking to what is supernatural. This is a satanic system that the government is fully engaging in. And they're engaged in obsessive stalking together. They went from the back parking lot to the front parking lot. That's the same demon. All right, and they're engaging in what is making U-turns. They're engaging in what is psychopathic pacing together. Driving under the fake sun, criminal surveillance. Walking under the fake sun, criminal surveillance. Stalking in the path, aiming light under the fake sun, criminal surveillance. Doing so while you are maintaining business establishments, government buildings under the fake sun, criminal surveillance. Engaging in what is repeatedly crossing path in airplanes and helicopters, criminal surveillance. Okay, and it's demonic. It's mentally ill, beyond what is obsessive and demented in the first place, which is stalking. This is beyond that because you're seeing the repetitious nature of it. This is the entity that's engaging in psychopathic behavior, doing so while they are sharing in what is a criminal pattern of conduct together. This being the key, the fake sun documentation. P.O.C. This is Southwest Airlines. Like I said, this is a vast housing community. There's no airport over here. This is mentally ill while they're even failing at acting like there's no takeoff. The sound of it, the elevation of it, and also the fact that it is occurring and the entity is maintaining. It is currently 7:15 a.m. There are no flights that are coming from the airport. No takeoffs right now. No departures, okay? And that's not an arrival. And it's also not a flight that's actually headed to a destination. This is relevant to, again, the U.S. military are filled with mentally ill terrorists, domestic terrorists, who will be federally prosecuted, and the corporate entities themselves. That's including Alaska Airlines is engaging in treason, and that's a corporate entity to be federally prosecuted. Southwest Airlines, FedEx, UPS. These are corporate entities that are engaging in treason, while the U.S. military are the demons that are engaging in what is the mentally ill behavior. They're the ones in the cockpit stalking me in these commercial airline companies. They're the ones that are engaging in the U-turns and the cartwheels, dipping beneath, engaging in this psychotic means of stalking. As I've shown you, you're acting like you're landing at the Stater Brothers, which is west of this location, but you're feigning a takeoff right here at the Ontario Senior Center. And you're mentally ill because no one forgot that. No one forgot it. None but those that are engaging in what is 24-hour surveillance while they are engaged in psychopathic pacing. Okay, vehicle after vehicle after vehicle. That's not traffic. It's surveillance. Okay, be mindful. This is what is informing you about what you're witnessing. This is the phenomenon what you're looking at. This is an example. March 22nd, 2026. The bottom image shows the same Ontario Civic Center, the same walkway where I'm standing right now, where FedEx, UPS, Alaska Airlines, Southwest Airlines, United Airlines are sharing in what is the criminal activity of domestic terrorism, stalking. This is relevant to what the entity is engaging in: psychological torture, harassment, terrorism, threatening conduct, because I'm documenting this is supposed to be retaliation. These are mentally ill homosexuals who are engaging in what is ritualistic conduct. So this is getting to the significance to the mentally ill. They believe they're engaging in what is witchcraft. They believe that their homosexual activity is causing what is spiritually significant progress for them. They are delusional, while you are looking at what is blatant and proper conduct in violation of the law, also in violation of what is federal law, because it is literally the impropriety of the U.S. government that has no basis to use the commercial airline companies or military aircrafts or helicopters belonging to the police department or its own to engage in what is stalking and harassment. And that is clearly shown in the specific environment where I'm showing you the fake sun and where the fake sun remains over me, which my documentation regarding the fake sun proves. Under all circumstances, the population that is demon-possessed, that is mentally ill, that is doing more than merely following me around. The psychopathic conduct regarding plane after plane, regarding vehicle after vehicle, regarding person after person under a sun that doesn't move, that's more significant. That's beyond what is mere stalking. They are merely engaging in what is showing you how deranged they are, and this is a threat to national security. This is treason. This is also alerting regarding the public safety concern regarding the demon-possessed who are engaging in this criminal pattern of conduct. They are suicidal. This is also relevant regarding the large amount of STDs that they've spread amongst each other. They are indeed suicidal. They're reckless conduct where they are focused on hurting someone else and they are hurting themselves. This is relevant to what is suicidal behavior. While they are gang stalking, it's being fully documented and recorded, shared with the public in real time. They are unsuccessful at the outset. They are still proceeding to their own demise. They are suicidal. Crashing planes and helicopters in order to hurt other people and killing themselves, they are suicidal. Targeting another where your life and the trajectory of your life is affecting others that are connected to you as well, they are suicidal. This is P.O.C. This is the demon possessed. It is currently 7:19 a.m. This is the entity that's engaging in this with the U.S. military. It is the U.S. military who are violent sex offenders. It is the U.S. military that are stalkers, that are demon possessed. And they are engaging in criminal activity. They are leading in public corruption. They are the treasonous, disloyal betrayers of the American people. And they are targeting with the constituents of the state. Okay, this is P.O.C. It is currently, let's look at the time again, 7:20, no flight scheduled. That's why you are engaging in what are cartwheels. This is the terrorist U.S., who is going to be federally prosecuted for treason, prosecuted as a sex offender, prosecuted as a domestic terrorist, and doing so with impunity and blatant disregard for the consequences, okay? That's relevant to damages, and the corporations themselves are going to be subject to federal prison. You're going to reach into these corporate companies that are making a lot of money, yielding a lot of influence, engaging in the surveillance system in the United States with the U.S. military. Absolutely. You're going to reach into those companies who will be subject to prison, federally prosecuted criminally and civilly. This is the P.O.C. Alrighty, this is blatant stalking. This is beyond merely following, as you see, though. This is serving a criminal purpose, a mentally deranged purpose. They are monitoring, which is psychologically harmful and sexually violent. And this is directly tailored to when I am in a bathroom and my vagina is exposed. This same population is pacing surrounding genitalia. Okay, this is P.O.C. It is currently 7:21 a.m. at the Ovid Family Community Library, the Ontario City Hall, the College of Laverne University of Law, the Ontario Senior Centre, the John Stewart Company, 280 North Lemon Apartments Senior Citizen Complex, the Downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments, Wells Fargo at 240 North Euclid Avenue, the Ontario Town Square, the Vos Church, what I just named, Metro 102 Apartments. Vast amount of evidence speaking to the fake sun from sunrise until sunset. This is P.O.C. Alright, a vagina monitor is in the vicinity, so pay attention to all the noise that's created is pursuant to monitoring your witnessing sexual violence by the entity. It specifically is the U.S. military, acting by the domestic terrorists of the city of Upland, engaging in what is the sex offense inside of a bathroom. It is P.O.C. The fake sun is over the roof in the center. and then it enters into the restroom. This is what is going to be met with martial law for the protection of the American public, for the protection of your genitalia. This is audible activity, relevant positioning, and light activity, just like you see the U.S. military doing with commercial planes under the fake sun, while the ongoing psychopathic pacing is occurring at the Ontario Civic Center. This is what's happening inside of a bathroom, and it is ritualistic, it's sexually perverted and motivated, it's predatory, it's also severely mentally ill, and it is that which is exposing a threat to the public. The entities engaged in criminal surveillance. With or without your communication device, your genitalia is under surveillance. This is something that the U.S. military is engaging in against the American public, which exceeds all bounds ever contemplated under the law regarding being a sex offender. It's 12:30 p.m. under the fake sun, and you're mindful of what it is that I'm even publishing on the internet today regarding April 7th, 2026. The entity has the fake sun over me in Ontario, and I go to Fontana, California, where the entity is gang stalking with the city of Ontario using commercial planes in the city of Fontana, where that fake sun is over the Lewis Library before I enter at 10 a.m. And today I remained in Ontario walking up Euclid Avenue, not aboard Omnitrans. The entity maintaining the fake sun over me into my entrance at around 10:15, 16 a.m. and the entity has the fake sun still sitting over this venue, and that is the U.S. military monitoring my vagina through what are violent sex offenders who are engaging in treason, sexual violence, psychological torture, federal stalking under Title 18, and they do so with a level of impunity that is a threat to national security. Walking into the bathroom is that which the government does not have any warrant or probable cause to engage in because it's surveillance underway in the bathroom, and the entity is doing so through what are the people of the state who are violent sex offenders who derive pleasure out of sexually violating you, knowledge of all of your private concerns, and looking you in the face, even not concerning yourself. You've seen how they are about all around you as though they're strangers and they're acquainted with what's going on between your legs. There is no warrant or probable cause that exists for that. That's an illegitimate government interest, and that's exactly what the U.S. military is doing, maintaining surveillance in the bathroom. P.O.C. And that's the mentally ill entity that is hostile while exposed as the sex offenders that they are. This is where the entity is maintaining a fake sun over Fontana Lewis Library and the Upland Public Library at the same time, which is going to put sex offenders where they belong in mental institutions and in federal prison. Alrighty, this is the handiwork practically prosecuting the entity of Adam Tuckerman. Audible activity by those inside and outside sharing in the perpetual sex offense. Mentally ill, severely. Everyone is inside of the venue that has a fake sun over it for the purpose of keeping my genitalia under surveillance, and that is the sole concern. That's why the fake sun remains over me where I go. And now that is an alarming reality regarding all of those that surround, and that is what is in need of martial law. Walking in and out is ongoing concerted conduct, cooperative criminal activity of a sexual nature in the bathroom. And the entity is doing so while they are aware that they're being documented as sex offenders as well. All of this is relevant to prosecuting the entity, particularly the U.S. military. It's currently 12:33 p.m. This is bathroom monitoring.
Alrighty, what you will see seconds later after the video you just listened to and the video that you are viewing. If you are looking at the video evidence and listening along, you would refer to the Google Drive, because what you'll see is seconds later at what is approximately 2:37 p.m., 2:36 p.m. Just seconds ago, I'm capturing images of the same pattern. When I'm capturing the tactic of the U.S. military are to engage in crossing a path. Remember, this is more than stalking. You could engage in what is following me around and do so with regard to your knowledge of where I'm at. The significance of the mentally ill behavior of the homosexuals that are calling themselves engaging in what is witchcraft. This is Satanism. This is mentally ill behavior. This is a psychologically torturous method of monitoring, all right, in furtherance of murder. Okay, so the U.S. military is doing more than criminally surveil. The U.S. military is engaged in the conspiracy to murder while they're engaging in this psychotic behavior of pacing. That's the significance. That's more than that. That is exceeding stalking. And what you'll see in the images captured seconds later after the video I just captured with regard to the entity that is stalking, just blatant soaring in the middle of the sky, lower at a low elevation, right over the trees. This is not a plane that has taken off and that is headed to land in LAX over the UPLAND freeway ramp. This is not a plane that's taken off from Ontario International Airport and is hovering over the betwixt the city of Ontario and UPLAND at Euclid Avenue. This is the entity that you under all circumstances are also aware of because of the impossibility that the natural environment remains over my head all day long with regard to a fake sun. And yet you're looking at the sunrise out in Virginia Beach on the opposite side of the country. The entity is maintaining an impossible environment, which is speaking to how impossible it is that they are sane. These are demons, and the demons make up what is the U.S. military, where they are practicing it's demonic, but it's perverted as well with regard to the sex acts that they associate with their criminal activity. And this is getting to, and this is exactly why it is relevant regarding the mentally ill behavior of more than just stalking in planes, which is mentally ill behavior, stalking as an entity, as a whole military practice, a system with the population at that all are together agreeing in that this is mentally ill. To do so in an environment that's not even natural. The government thinks that it's genius, clever to have an environment around us like this, whoever concocted this. And NASA signing off on it, literally, clearly through its omission of speaking to the fact of its reality, the fake sun. NASA has signed off on that. NASA is maintaining the illusion regarding this entire system, this environment that surrounds us while we're under surveillance in these absurd manners by demons who are engaging in pacing around us, keeping us under surveillance with regard to what is psychologically torturing, harassing, and terrorizing. The entity is not only engaging in what is mentally ill behavior there, but you're also analyzing the fact that it's not working, and you're all witnessing the prosecution of the demon-possessed, the mentally ill, all right, the certifiable. The entities engaging in this conduct in the face of that humiliating failure, where the entity has sought to moreover engage in what is even defaming my character, because you have to try very, very hard. You have to do an extensive reach to try to mar my character and make me into some person that I am not, so that no one would ever believe that you are a vagina monitoring pedophile, a sex trafficker, a homosexual that is living your life one way, and you're entirely different with regard to who you actually are. You're a professional stalker who is a part of law enforcement, a part of the military, a part of what is the community, gang stalking at the neighborhood grocery store or the library or wherever it is that these demons live. This is an entity that's maintaining a satanic system of surveillance, monitoring everyone everywhere, and they target those within that entity. The entity is engaging in this conduct, and that is at every level that I just described and more. With regard to what is exposing mental illness, this is indeed diagnosis via federal prosecution. The entities engaging in this conduct, and they are stalking. As you see last night, the sex offender that's stalking me at the Ontario Town Square. The entity flies over my head while this predator is lurking in the dark, waiting for me to force me to encounter him while he is stalking in the path. And as I am encountering this stalker, this is when the mentally ill, the demon, the U.S. military, fly over by a plane at the Ontario Town Square. And what happens the next moment is the entity engages in what is clarifying, in case you're unclear, that the entity is indeed targeting me after all of the evidence regarding a clear pattern of targeting me. The entity is engaging in what is
doing a cartwheel. That cartwheel meaning they're flying in the direction west, and they begin to make a U-turn, a cartwheel flying in the opposite direction, which is the conduct of a demon that's affiliated with the military. That's a military tactic, using the planes. And they're engaging in that right in alignment with my person. That's not a coincidence. That's exactly what the entity is doing while I'm at the Ovid Family Community Library. And they're pacing over the City Hall, the Senior Center, and the 280 North Lemon Apartments. Senior citizens 55 years and older who are being subject to planes and helicopters hovering over their apartment complex. When they are contracted to quiet enjoyment, all right, a contract right. Paying for what is for senior citizen housing, where you are not maintaining flights from the airport over that venue. And not only are those not even flights coming from the airport toward a destination, the entity is targeting, hovering over the senior citizens, and they're doing so while at 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock in the morning, as I'm documenting that. The entity is doing so while they are hovering over that venue. And what are they always doing? Engaging in the cartwheels in alignment to where my person is positioned at the Ovid Family Community Library. That's exactly what I'm documenting now with regard to identifying, targeting in a more, in an additional manner. The entity is engaging in what is all manner of pacing, flying over, which is what I captured in the video that you just listened to, the video that you are, if you're viewing it and you're listening to this podcast at the same time, look at the images on the Google Drive following moments later. That will be 2:36, 2:37. As a matter of fact, I'll give you the exact time right now. I end that video and I look up and the entity is stalking by flying in a commercial plane. While I'm walking on the sidewalk, the plane is in alignment to the sidewalk that I'm walking on, making a U-turn. The entity is engaging what is targeting me in doing that. The entity is doing so pursuant to what is, again, delusional. What is it other than the whole world learning that the United States military, the U.S. government, is stalking Erica Lorraine Spencer? And what government wants that to be the headlines, other than those that are mentally ill and have already given up on life? They've already given up on any successful endeavor. They are also delusional with regard to appearing as anything other than pathetic, okay, humiliated, demoralized. They've been outed out of the closet. There is no don't ask, don't tell. No, everybody is hearing what I am telling. You don't have to ask me because I'm going to volunteer it. While they're gang stalking me, these are homosexuals. And in case you did not know, homosexuality is demonic, where you are engaging what is demonic behavior of a sexual nature with your vessel. And the Satanists know that. Satan knows that. And this is why they practice homosexuality, they being in the U.S. military. And this is also relevant to what are the vast amount of them that are suffering with HIV. Okay, incurable STDs, which is also relevant to this entity that defamed my character and stated that I had anything to do with what they've all contracted, HIV. I have nothing to do with that. Okay, this is the entity that's engaging that while they're simultaneously stalking me in commercial planes, and that is the evidence of their mental illness in and of itself. Before we even dive into the facts, the relevant facts, and it is relevant that you are homosexual, that you are a part of this cult, that you've contracted HIV while you've tried to defame my character, while you're gang stalking me in furtherance of murder. It's absolutely relevant. Moreover, it's laughable because the entity is engaging in criminal activity and you thought you were going to murder me and have sex with men and nobody was going to know and think that your picture with your 2.5 kids and your wife is going to be the end of the story. And that's a joke. No, it's not. Everyone's going to know that you're a homosexual and that you're a raving psychopath, a lunatic, engaging what are targeting American citizens in order to murder them, steal from them, defame them because you want to be them. All right. These are homosexual males that want to be a woman. They want to be a woman. But yet you actually hate them and they're engaging in this level of conduct and they have access to planes and helicopters. They're exercising authority. They are putting on their vehicles and on their homes the fact that they're veterans. And this is literally that which is shameful to the military altogether. But this is revealing what is the reality of military, the reality of what is law enforcement. It's an illusion. This is a satanic surveillance system. And these are the actual true genuine roles and purposes of these departments and of the military altogether. This is how you're, the way that you're also aware of that is the confirmation of what the fake sun tells you about what everybody is doing. Why would you go to that extent to maintain that level of an environment and NASA not tell us about it? And NASA's acting ignorant while they're supposedly flying to the moon. What moon is that when it's sitting over me at the Ovid Family Community Library? What moon is NASA flying to? I'd like to know. The people of the state are over here stalking me under it. So the American people would like to know, those that are not demons would like to know, what moon specifically is NASA flying to? Okay, it is currently, by the way, 2:47 p.m. License 9 Kelly Charlie Yolanda 229 is stalking in the path with light activity at 1122 North Euclid Avenue at Princeton Street and Euclid, in concert with the Ontario Police that are gang stalking in relevant position at the corrupt high school, gang stalking high school, criminal activity underway at Chaffee Joint Union High School, where the federal government, the U.S. military, is not concerned with the education of minors who are engaged in the sex offense of gang stalking. They do so with adults. They do so with each other. They do so seamlessly as a part of their life. They do so with the sex offenders that are driving school buses. They do so under the fake sun with the entity that is engaged in that pattern of conduct right now. And Ontario Police are stalking in the path at Chaffee Joint Union High School, leaving an Ontario Police vehicle in the path. And the Ontario Police are nothing other than the puppets that are stalking day and night in the city of Ontario. And they're supposed to create the illusion that they are engaged in what is law enforcement, protecting and serving, and they're doing nothing close to that. The entity stalking me by helicopter, doing so as the U.S. military is maintaining this system in Ontario. Mike LORENZ is going to federal prison. He's engaging in what is domestic terrorism with the U.S. military, and these homosexuals have put each other in prison. Okay, the city of Ontario that is established as a gang stalker, the city of Upland that's established as a gang stalker, the city of Fontana that's established as a gang stalker, the city of San Bernardino that's established as a gang stalker, the city of Montclair, the city of Pomona, Los Angeles County. I can keep going because my evidence has established that wherever I'm going. The state of California that's established as a gang stalker, meaning maintaining criminal surveillance. This is the established, proven system, which is the BEAST system, is establishing that which is occurring in concert and on behalf of the U.S. government. It's the U.S. government's criminal pattern of conduct, and the state of California is fully in compliance, fully complicit, fully subservient to it. They're engaging in the P.O.C. License 5 Xavier Sam Thomas 129 with minor children, engaging in the conspiracy to murder, gang stalking on the roads and the highways while the government is flying over my head on the sidewalk in front of 1122 North Euclid Avenue, across from Chaffee Joint Union High School, which is a corrupt high school. And those that are engaging in this sexually violent system are calling themselves teachers. At law schools, they're calling themselves law professors. At police departments, they're calling themselves police officers. These are I just want to be clear, there is no mystery with regard to children that are being sexually violated by the sex offenders that are gang stalking, by the homosexuals that are living a whole fake existence. Yes, they are violating children, including those that they give birth to and those that they kidnap, that they sex traffic, that they keep as their adopted children, which is a staple, a default aspect regarding this system, where the government's engaging in surveillance and stealing children and having sex with them, and et cetera, et cetera. But I just want to point that out. License plate 5 Jerry Thomas Yolanda 205. What you will see is the entity maintaining that relevant positioning. Okay, so you'll see the plane seconds after the video. So I just want to go to that because this is the entity that's engaging in what is just flagrant, outright. Yes, we're stalking Erica. Erica literally is the center of the nation because the entire U.S. military is keeping me under surveillance. And that is speaking volumes about who I am. That is speaking volumes about every lie that this entity uttered, including those coming out of the mouths of little puppets that Tracy Banks rallied together. Tracy Banks is nothing other than a puppet. These are all demons. And this is how you're getting to the practicable level of the government executing a surveillance system, conspiring the murder. That is literally playing out through what is lying on your character, abusing the court justice system, doing so targeting you through the city police, kidnapping you with the county sheriff, kidnapping you through the city court, through the county court. Engaging in what is that pattern of conduct amongst a population who are not strangers, maintaining a whole surveillance system throughout the country that is unspoken, and it is proven through tangible evidence, even in the silence of everyone. The entity, but the more that, what you also see is that the more that the entity speaks, the more that it's proven. All right, the entity is engaging in what is inevitable. The entity is engaged in what is inescapable and is subject to insurmountable evidence of surveillance. License plate 8 Yolanda Henry George 484, stalking at the intersection, doing so under the fake sun, doing so in furtherance of murder. This is stalking. This is stalking and furtherance of murder with the U.S. military that's maintained. How is the military following me everywhere? Through the people of the state. And this is the people of the state that are domestic terrorists in the U.S., and this is treason. This is war that the U.S. government has levied against American citizens that do not have a voice, that do not have the P.O.C, that do not have legal representation, that do not have the skill set to articulate, to represent themselves, to organize evidence and prove logically and legally, and also with regard to what appealing to even your common sense while you are being subject to psychological torture, while you're being subject to the psychopathic tendencies of an entity, of a whole group of people. All of them are crazy, and they're all tormenting you, stalking you while they're being crazy. While you're too busy trying to deal with that, you don't have any ability or time, and reasonably so, to try to maintain a body of evidence and show, even in an environment that you're oblivious to, while you are inundated with psychosis of stalkers, the psychosis of stalkers that are sex offenders, keeping your genitalia under surveillance, following you everywhere and harassing you, and trying to kidnap you. The ordinary target individual is very much subject to what is levying of war by the U.S. government, who are gang stalking through every neighborhood, on the roads and the highways, at all times and at all places, and in every single way, as I have shown. Every single way, including surveillance of what is between your legs. That is relevant to the homosexuals that are the U.S. military, that are absurdly psychotic, dipping and diving and cartwheeling in commercial planes, soaring in the middle of the air over the freeway. They look like the psychopaths that they are. And this is the picture of mental illness. Not the illusion that this corrupt government that's maintaining surveillance has intentionally and maliciously put out in order to serve essentially what is propaganda, in order to lead in and condition your mind regarding what is the ultimate projection of the demon possessed. They are all mentally ill, and there is more of them than there are of those like myself who are being targeted. And I'm being targeted because I am not like that. And I will never be. And there's no spell and there's no gay sex ritual that these demons can engage in that will cause me to switch over to the other side, to the dark side. I'm not going to hell. Okay? The entities engaging in this conduct, and they're doing so with regard to what is the reality. Why is NASA going to the extent to perpetuate an illusion to you? Why? This is speaking to how humongous this system is. Why is there a fake sun in the sky space? Why is the government maintaining that? Why would you use multi-million-dollar companies? They're lending off planes, the U.S. military, for one person? They're not looking at anybody else on the street. They're obsessed with me. They're following me. They're doing cartwheels in alignment with me on the sidewalk. They're keeping that fake sun over me in step with my person as I'm walking back to the same city that I came from, where the fake sun was over me this morning, where it rose at the Ovid Family Community Library. I'm on the same street. This same street is where the demon-possessed, who are flaming homosexuals that don't want that to be known. They only want you to know about their position and the fact that they are serving as U.S. military men and women. But you need to know that they're demon-possessed. That is, they are psychopaths. They are serial killers. They're rapists. They're pedophiles. They're sex traffickers. They're perverts. They are criminals, and they joined the military to become that. This is how the U.S. government permits you to let out all of your violent impulses, your violent tendencies, and covers it and calls it what is war in the U.S. interests abroad. And you have no idea who they're killing, why they're killing them, and who is even a victim of this warfare. Because the entity, what the entity, like I stated, is doing here, the domestic enemy, which is the United States, is a foreign terrorist in other countries, and this is exactly what they're doing. This is a concerted effort with the globe. I want you to be clear. The nations about are engaging in this surveillance system. The United States is just like every other puppet of Satan, unfortunately. And you need to understand that with regard to judgment, this country has reaped an inevitable end because of what this government has done. Okay, our country is murdering people throughout the world, and they're murdering their own American citizens. Okay, this is treason. It is in fact treason. While I am one that is documenting it, I'm prosecuting it, I'm exposing it. It is treason, but you need to know that this is what the U.S. government, this is what people around the globe are paying the U.S. government to do to American citizens and to do to those that are outside of the U.S. while they're monitoring everyone everywhere around the globe. Around the globe. The United States is in on that ongoing manhunt, hunting down those that are exceptional in order to take them out. And they very much maintain and create narratives as to why they are occupying, if they're even speaking of that, because the U.S. military is very much capable of just engaging all manner of classified acts. It's nothing for them to have a group of serial killers fly out to Bosnia and assemble in the sky space where a targeted individual in a foreign land is being targeted, and their demons that fill them in whatever nation that they're in. The U.S. military is occupying the sky space. They think it's stars over their head. They think it's the moon over them. They think that their family actually loves them and is concerned about them. And they are subject to what is an ambush, murdered. And there is certainly no investigation by a government, by the U.S. military when they're engaging in that. There's no investigation. And it is relevant. It is absolutely important that the U.S. military, these they are the ones that want to be involved and engaged in sacrificing those that are exceptional. It's a ritual. It's spiritually significant. These are murderers. And they are, they literally have they can't bust a grape, as a reference to the vernacular. Okay? I'm laughing at them. This is a joke. Literally, like I said, they are likened to those that eat their feces and they're still stalking me, and they're supposed to be having an affect on me. They are still doing so as though they have an affect. The effect is the inevitable conviction in court for treason that an American citizen unilaterally executed the investigation and the prosecution, forcing even the dirty feds to do their job, because the federal government is going against the federal government. Just to give you an idea, the federal government in the United States is going to prosecute itself because it has been forced to do so. All right, and that's by virtue of evidence, by virtue of my ability to prove what they've done, and there is no getting out of it. You can't avoid it. You can't lie about it, and they're not even hiding it. These are suicidal people that are ready to die, and that is a threat to the United States. This is what you need to know about their reckless engagement in what is no longer secret classified. It's not even anything that's strategic. They're sloppy. All right, they're all over the place. They're engaging in what is all manner of just ridiculous, obvious targeting conduct. Their mental illness is not contained whatsoever. Their criminal conduct is not secretive whatsoever. By the way, when you're engaging in that, you will not be successful. The purpose of this is to maintain a level of secrecy in order to inflict a level of trauma, maintaining ongoing confusion to that targeted individual. There's no confusion here. There is also no question. I've made it everyone else certain about what I was certain about years ago. So what, in fact, are the mentally ill telling themselves that they're doing? Satan, with regard to the mentally ill that are going into mental institutions, are engaging in that which they don't know what else to do until they are subject to a raid, until they drop dead like flies. They've been playing in dark spirits. Black magic and voodoo is very real. It does not work. It does not touch a covered child of God, but it is very real. They are vulnerable to it. So they are, in other words, instead of standing still and looking in the mirror and sobbing, they're doing something. They're getting up and doing something, and what they are doing is drawing themselves closer and closer to a conclusive end. Okay? Now, this is not me praying for anything wicked. The wicked have summoned it on themselves. Understand that. And you understand that the U.S. military are serial killers. They are not war combatants. They are not noblemen. They are not heroes. They are not courageous. They go out doing what they're doing to me. This is what they do to innocent people, levying war on an American citizen. Then they go out into other parts of the world levying war. And they do it in concert with the other parts of the world. Corrupt regimes just like the United States military, just like the U.S. Murdering their own. Murdering those that walk with Christ. Murdering those that will not conform to what this world is doing. That's why the U.S. military has exerted so much effort. That's why the people of the state, if you're looking at all the numerosity, all the people, all the demons, all the obsession, in the face of, man, I'm going to prosecute you. You're going to lose your kids. You're going to be deported. You don't care about that. That's why, because they're demons. They're dead already. Their children are dead. They don't have a point in being here. I am the point. I am the pinnacle of their existence. To be in my presence, to exist, to be federally prosecuted is to exist and to experience targeting me. Even that is an experience while you're punished for it. This is how pointless the existence of the demon-possessed are. In other words, this is how vital, this is how important and how valuable you are who are listening. That's how valuable you are. Satan has gone to a tremendous length to deceive you and make you think otherwise. And make that the trend, that everyone would treat you like that and behave like that. Man, you're not that important. It's not that deep. Man, that's a lie out of the pit of hell. All that is going on in the country is surveillance. All around the globe is surveillance. Now, while surveillance, that is pursuant to monitoring. Monitoring is surveillance. Everything is under surveillance. Everyone and everything is under surveillance. And while this is the case, you're talking about an ongoing distraction in life. Alrighty? License plate 7 Paul Thomas George 084. Gang stalking in concert with the U.S. military at what is El Monterey, El Morado, and Euclid Avenue. Okay, the fake sun is over me. This is at the G Street and Euclid Avenue intersection where the fake sun was over me into the evening, and I'm a wealth of documentation. The sun rises here, and yet it's over me in the middle of the afternoon. These are the demons that are surrounded with evidence, okay? So the U.S. military is essentially engaging in what is homosexual activity, and I'm being facetious when I say that, but this criminal activity that the entities engage in, it's likened to them standing out in the nude and bending over and showing everyone their backside. Because this is how humiliated the U.S. military are while they're engaging in this conduct and while they have been prosecuted by an American citizen who they surmise was clueless and that was going to be so easy to take out and I don't know anything. And well, we're seeing how much I don't know, aren't we, Satan? Aren't we? Isn't everyone, right? Everyone's seeing how much I don't know. Matter of fact, how much do I need to know when Christ Jesus has already defeated you? You are showing your backside to the whole world, including your enemies, whoever paid you. All right? But I did want to be clear, this corruption, this makes the United States vulnerable. The U.S. has enemies that it is not aware of because of the dirty hands that the U.S. military has, that the United States is engaged in, that it has not reported to the American people. Criminal endeavors, bloodthirsty contracts. All right? This is the entity that's engaged in that, and it is that which is affecting this country inevitably. And these are dead people, so they don't think about judgment. They don't think about how their children are. They out of the side of their mouth, oh, I love my kids. No, they don't. They literally do not. They literally abuse their children. They include their children in criminal activity, and they also don't love their children while they engage in this, and it will inevitably impact them. It's going to impact them spiritually and also practically in their everyday life. And that's if they survive. The U.S. military has been murdering people for decades. And they thought that they were going to add me to the list. And they're still doing it in front of you. You are witnessing the exposure, the irreparable exposure of the United States of America. While the United States military is stalking an American citizen who proved it. Fully, 1,000%. This is P.O.C. It is currently 3:06 p.m. This is the entity that's engaging in what is stalking at the El Pescador. I'll go ahead and show you pictures of that while the fake sun progresses and is back at the same location it was this morning. P.O.C. It is indeed Southwest Airlines. Southwest Airlines is going to be federally prosecuted as engaging in treason. It's a corporate entity. These are companies that under no circumstances stand to exist any longer while they're engaged in what is warfare against levying war in concert with the U.S. military. That's a demon that's flying a commercial plane and identifiable logo while the people of the state are stalking in the path under the fake sun license 83875 Xavier 3, stalking. While Southwest Airlines, where there are no flights taking off from the airport, neither are they over the 10 freeway, neither are they while I am at 1122 North Euclid Avenue. The entity is stalking as I'm walking south on Euclid Avenue, period. That's it. That's all they're doing. While I am at the same Bethel congregation where the entity is stalking by helicopter yesterday morning. Okay, where this demon that goes by the deceptive misnomer, Pastor Lee. He's a demon engaged in psychological torture inside of the chambers of this fake church. And during the morning time, the fake sun is over me at Bethel congregation, where Southwest Airlines is gang stalking me, and Southwest Airlines is also gang stalking me at this same Bethel congregation after 6 p.m., which is also on the record already, targeting me specifically. And I'm capturing the evidence of that right now. Pastor Lee is going to be changing venues. He's going to be no longer gang stalking and monitoring at a fake church. He's going to be in prison. All right, and this is the type of circumstances that are going to affect domestic terrorists while they are engaging in this pattern of conduct and failing to appreciate how severe it is and how much you should have stopped a long time ago. But this is good because the entity is subject to judgment where they have murdered people over and over again, and this is also why they're not thinking about the consequences. But that's not an excuse. All right, where I am right now, the sun would not be. I'm looking at the same side of the building. I'm taking a picture of it right now at what is 3:08 p.m. You'll see the fake sun over the top of my head, which is the same situation while I'm standing at the side door of this Bethel congregation where I stand right now, 536 North Euclid Avenue at 3:08 p.m. The sun would not be over the same person, over the same building, let alone traveling over me from Upland to that same building where I was at yesterday, over 24 hours ago. That's where the U.S. military were stalking me in a helicopter, black helicopter is what it was, amplifying it inside of a fake church. That's the state's church. That's directly pointing to all the demons that were in that room with me, who are subject to, as you prosecute, treason via federal group stalking and monitoring, federal prison. Everybody in that room, federal prison. This is P.O.C. And this is what is shared with the U.S. military stalking me by helicopter yesterday and stalking me by Southwest Airlines today. Bethel congregation is that ongoing connection regarding my location in the fake sun. License 19353 Larry 2. Chevron, gang stalking. Gang stalking, that's the federal RICO case while Chevron makes money as a terrorist. Gang stalking American citizen. This is P.O.C. It is currently 3:09 p.m. Alrighty, this is to show you the significance of what the U.S. military is engaging in with the people of the state, and that includes the corporate entity that is the gang stalkers using the commercial airline companies, where the U.S. military is stalking via those planes. The entity is crossing path while the fake sun is right here over my head where I stood this morning, by the way, and where I've stood at 7 a.m. And the entity is maintaining what is crossing path conduct with the people of the state and in the sky space, as I've been documenting, while I'm walking from Upland across the freeway, the U.S. highway, to Ontario, where the entity is maintaining that surveillance. And this is relevant to the ongoing psychopathic behavior of the mentally ill homosexuals who refer to themselves under a deceptive misnomer. Okay, this is hypocrisy. This is corruption at the highest level. And the entity is engaging what is nothing other than mentally ill behavior, criminal activity, and calling itself the U.S. military. That's what is the cause of the massive public corruption. They're all sharing in criminal surveillance. And they're doing so with the entity that is stalking by commercial airline planes. And this is the environment where the fake sun is directly over me. It is currently 2:32 p.m. Okay, there's no environment where my evidence shows the fake sun over me at this highway, where the people of the state are gang stalking both early in the morning during the 7 a.m., 8 a.m. hour, and also in the evening when you're looking at UPS, Southwest Airlines, the same corporate actors engaging in terrorism, and they're going to be federally prosecuted. This entity is engaging in treason while they are absolutely engaging in what is the ongoing continuation of levying of war. The record shows that upon being exposed, upon even learning about how this criminal system is going to be prosecuted and viewed by the world and the federal government, they have continued to levy war. Okay? That is an affirmative act of war in the United States by the United States. Okay? This is the P.O.C. The entity is engaging in this, and this is relevant to prosecuting the domestic terrorists in every aspect of their life that's going to be affected, inevitably. Okay? This is the entity that's engaging in that while the U.S. military, they're mentally ill, stalking, while they are using commercial planes in the adjacent cities. That's what they're doing in Upland, California, which you'll see reflected in the Google Drive. This is P.O.C. License 23255 Wendy 2. 52112 Victor 3. 9 Henry Larry George 660. Larry Apple 226 handicap. 9 Paul Nancy Bob 584. 8 Mary Kelly Robert 497. This is the entity that's engaged in that in concert with the people of the state. Okay, the mental illness is shared by those that are stalking planes. This is the outright conduct. This is that which is likened to eating your own feces, the psychopathic behavior of the homosexuals that are referring to themselves as the U.S. military. This is treason in the United States. This is the entity that's engaged in criminal activity. This isn't even a takeoff. This isn't a flight to a destination. It's nowhere. It's literally in the middle of the Euclid Avenue, where I'm adjacent to the freeway, stalking in the path. The fake sun is right here over me. These are the mentally ill that are going to be permanently landed, and they're landing in federal prison and in mental institutions. They are driving, stalking, monitoring with HIV, incurable STDs, while they've been engaged in failed witchcraft, which is ongoing manifestations of the mentally ill that are gang stalking and engaging in what is literally a time bomb with regard to understanding all the ways in which they are affecting the lives of those while they are engaging in this criminal system, this corrupt system. All right, the entity is engaging in what is nothing magical. There's nothing supernatural about their pattern, about their behavioral patterns. It is nothing other than mental illness. And every single last person you see is sharing in criminal activity together. And they're all demons. That is what is supernatural, the fact that they're demon possessed and they're engaging in an identical behavioral pattern. But the conduct itself, I'm clearly capturing. The airplanes have no business over here. The Ontario International Airport is at 2500, 2900 Airport Road. Vehicles that are driving on the road do not have sunlight that's going to move across the road or the highways. The sun is not going to be over the same person for the duration of the day, let alone at the same address, 6 and 7 and 8 hours later remaining in any direction. This is the entity that's engaged in that. This is mental illness that's shared as a population, and this is the population that is in need of martial law and needs to be separated, isolated from the American public for the protection of the American people. This is P.O.C. All right, these are the mentally ill engaged in what is vagina monitoring inside of the Upland Public Library, stalking as an entity now going back to the city of Ontario under the fake sun. P.O.C. Southwest Airlines is stalking, just like they are when they are hovering over the Ontario Senior Center. The reason why they're not flying at a distance over the Senior Center is because there are no flights that occur over there. Alaska Airlines is stalking me. And Alaska Airlines is stalking as what is the U.S. military is engaging in what is that state action. Those are demons that are using commercial airline companies, and those companies are going to pay, and they're also going to be criminally prosecuted for stalking as companies, corporate entities, that is, engaging in the pattern of conduct. And the fake sun is over me. This is the same location where I was. The fake sun is over me as I'm documenting Securitas, as I'm documenting the Page One Cafe employees, as I'm documenting those over, at the Ovitt Family Community Library, and the fake sun is there. 7, 8 o'clock. What is over me? I'm at the same strip of this is the same location. So, and Alaska Airlines is stalking by flying over this parking lot, engaging in what is ongoing migration more and more north up Euclid Avenue or more and more south as I'm walking down the street. That has nothing to do with takeoffs from the airport. Okay, so I just want to be clear. Not only is the U.S. military not elite, they're not intelligent. They are very, very ignorant. And this is a very sorely unintelligent tactic, a method of stalking. And the reason why they're engaging, the reason why it's so stupid, in other words, it's so ignorant, is because it's never been scrutinized before. And they literally think that they're elite because they've been engaged in what is murdering other demons like them. All right, license 9 George Larry Edward 099, 8 Zebra Kelly Robert 307, 7 Yolanda Kelly Charlie 758, 9 Yolanda Jerry David 325. Gang stalking at what is D Street, D as in dog, and Euclid Avenue. All right, this is the P.O.C. Where the sun rises, the sun is not still there in the afternoon. The sun is not on a side street approaching that location where it was at in the morning in the afternoon. These are the stalkers that are stalking for a criminal purpose. And this is the system of the United States military that are engaging in what is the beast system. And they're doing so as murderers and violent sex offenders. 8 Yolanda Apple Mary 353 is included in that. This is P.O.C. It's currently 3:12 p.m. Every single airline is going to be federally prosecuted. This is extensive prosecution regarding civil and criminal, okay? So these are companies that you're talking about for treason. This is an unprecedented basis, and these companies are going out of business. But I'm going to prosecute them and exhaust all resources before that. All right, this is P.O.C. Alrighty, it is currently 3:26 p.m. and the images that you see are the images that are used to diagnose the mentally ill state of an entire population and the corrupt engagement in what is criminal surveillance, federal group stalking and monitoring, which is demonic behavior, that is mentally ill behavior. That's how it's referenced, that's how it's addressed, that's how it's identified based on the behavioral health concerns of the demon possessed that are gang stalking as a matter of scientific evidence. And that evidence will consist of at this time as I am walking by the Stater Brothers at 646 West Holt, and not the Stater Brothers in Fontana, where the fake sun is remaining over the Fontana Lewis Library, after I'm already in Fontana and go to that Stater Brothers and then walk back down Sierra Avenue to Fontana Lewis. No, this is the entity that is gang stalking in Ontario, California, where a demon is stalking in a commercial plane and is doing so exhibiting severe, life-threatening mental illness. Okay, license 5 Yolanda Sam Charlie 282 shares in that, and stalking behind me 7 Xavier Edward Uncle 340, while they are pacing around under a fake sun, where David Quinones is stalking as a means of employment, where I am under a fake sun at sunrise, and it is, however, remaining over my head while I'm subject to the same terrorism at that Stater Brothers in this parking lot in the morning, where demons like Erica and Kia and Lupe, the demons that are engaging what is harassment, stalking, are working in a whole environment that's designed conducive to surveillance, while they are doing so at this Stater Brothers, which is nothing other than a landmark. And what it is showing you is the greater picture regarding the mentally ill that are demon possessed, engaging in the surveillance system, and their entire fake existence. Okay, that fake existence is relevant to what is very vital for them to keep concealed from you: the fact that they are so psychotic. All right, this is the entity that is going to be isolated from the ability to harm the rest of the country. It is a means for what is martial law, while this entity is engaging in criminal surveillance and doing so at the level that the entity is doing so, meaning you're watching a play-by-play of this unfold, and the U.S. military thought that that was a good idea to do that, to do it in the first place, but let alone to continue to do it while an American citizen is narrating it play-by-play all over the World Wide Web. For the rest of the country also to look at the weaknesses of this country, of the United States, of the U.S. military. The entities engaging in that conduct, and they're doing it with the people of the state, while a fake sun remains over me, floating over my head as I'm walking past Stater Brothers. The Stater Brothers where I am systematically present in the morning, and the entity is engaging in what is a psychotic pattern of having a fake sun as though it's rising right there at that Stater Brothers parking lot, the Ontario Village Shopping Center. That is the evidence of mental illness that is pervasive. That is the ability, with regard to the legitimate practice of medicine, to make categorical assessments regarding a community, an entity that is engaged in what is the criminal pattern of conduct. This is diagnosis via federal prosecution. All right, the entity that's engaged in that is stalking by plane. You'll see a psychopath. You know, if mental illness had a picture, it is the P.O.C. on Hope Boulevard as I'm capturing it at 3:24 p.m. This is P.O.C. That's what you'll see reflected in the images. This is criminal summoning. He's walking in step with the fire truck, and the fake sun's right here above me. It's P.O.C. This is mental illness. While the entity engages in this pattern of conduct, they're mentally ill. And all the people that you see moving in their vehicles, getting in and out of their cars, are all monitoring me. This is P.O.C. Remember when I'm aboard Omnitrans and I'm getting off the bus? The bus is stopping right here in the morning, and the fake sun moves through the window of Omnitrans en route to Fontana. That's how you know AMR is targeting me. The Ontario Fire Department is targeting me. Respado Express is targeting me. Spin Cycle, the laundromat that I'm inside of under the fake sun, okay? The demon, the African-American male that's walking into the entrance, he's stalking. These are demons that are pacing under the light source, and it is currently 4:22 p.m. Omnitrans is targeting. There's no sun that's going to remain in the window like it is when I'm on the bus in the morning at this bus stop. This is the fire department that's being shut down. This is the U.S. military's criminal pattern of conduct, and they're gang stalking. This is what Hernandez was doing. Hernandez is going to prison. Remember the vagina monitor of the Ontario police? This is criminal summoning by Michael GERKEN. Hernandez is engaged in criminal summoning by Mike LORENZ. And then they engaged in flying in circles by helicopter. These are gang members. This is the U.S. military's P.O.C., and they're mentally ill. This is all about me. P.O.C. This is impossible light activity, and the entity is engaged in the pattern of conduct. Right, this is impossible. The laundromat, it's not sunlight. Okay, department, that's a stalker. Okay, these are the mentally ill. The EMTs are not engaged in anything other than stalking. They're mentally ill. This is light activity, relevant positioning, and ongoing audible activity, focusing on where the fake sun is, and then all the demons engage in what is making up a reason. They can make up whatever reason they want. This is why the entity's going to prison, and they're going to be put in mental institutions. This is public corruption. All right, the entity that's stalking by helicopter and stalking in planes like you see in Upland, California, this isn't anything but P.O.C. P.O.C. It's 4:23 p.m. That's psychological torture and harassment. All right, and when you're looking at this right here, this is sexual assault and battery. My shadow's appearing in front of me. Everybody in here is gang stalking, all right? And they're gang stalking in ambulances and in fire trucks. That's not sunlight. And they wear those uniforms because you're supposed to take Satan seriously. Satan's going to be taken into mental institutions and to federal prison. All right, that's the pattern of conduct. This is surveillance, and this is a threat. And that threat's going to be met with what is the prosecution for treason. The city of Ontario is engaged in the U.S. government's pattern of conduct. They're engaged in what is levying war against American citizens, gang stalking them, like I'm documenting, in concert with the people of the state. P.O.C. This is the joke that are the emergency services in Ontario, California. These are gang stalkers that are calling themselves firefighters and EMTs. These are demons, and they're engaged in monitoring. This is light activity, relevant positioning by vagina monitors. American Medical Response is being prosecuted. Ontario Fire, that's Michael GERKEN, and these clowns are under a fake sun. It is currently 4:26 p.m. where the entities engage in criminal activity together. This is demonic. They're all demons. This is the P.O.C. All right, and this is the entity that's engaged. Watch the fake sun move as I move while they're engaging in criminal activity, wearing uniforms that they're all going to be stripped from. This is the joke that they've made of emergency service. They've made a joke at it. It's a mockery. It's embarrassing, and I'm going to embarrass them in federal court. This is treason of the U.S. government. They're going to be federally prosecuted. This is P.O.C. License 1497521. Watch the fake sun moving. This is exactly what Hernandez did. Hernandez is going to prison. License plate 70430V2. They've made a joke out of it. And there will be no AMR. There will be no Ontario Fire Department because they don't need it. They're not engaged in emergency services. This is terrorism, and this is all being defunded. And when you engage in this, you're going to prison. P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 4:27 p.m. Watch the fake sun moving as I move. It's not the sun, nor is that emergency service. It's stalking by demons. P.O.C. The U.S. military is getting a lot of people locked up. A lot of them. This is gang stalking. P.O.C. Alrighty, this is how serious the emergency services are in Ontario, California. The entire defunding, including the removal of Paul Leon and his federal prosecution for treason, is what is punctuated, underscored by the gang stalking of by the U.S. military in the city of Ontario, by the Ontario Police Department, using helicopters where they are wasting money, using ambulances, fire trucks, police vehicles. Literally the fire station, the police station, as I've shown you, have the fake sun over me. There are a bunch of paid stalkers. While this entity is engaging in surveillance, they literally have vagina monitors and helicopter waiting for me to leave. And this is stalkers on the post, waiting for me to walk out, stalking in the path. This is what they're doing. You are not going to pay fire departments. You're not going to pay police departments to engage in stalking like this. And these are the demons that are doing so on the streets and the highway. And they're supposed to be coming and providing emergency services to them. They're stalking together. They're all demons, okay? There's no hierarchy amongst the wicked, amongst the pathetic, amongst the criminal. This is the entity that's engaging in this, and you're doing so while you are engaged in psychopaying. And this is the same block where the entity is doing the same thing at 10:30 in the morning right here at the Ontario Village Shopping Center. I want to be clear, the U.S. military, the demons of the city of Ontario, are helping to put Marcelo Blanco away and the people that stayed in Upland. Darren Goodman and the people that stay in San Bernardino, Michael Dorsey and the people that stay in Fontana. You have this demon that's gang stalking with regard to the pattern of conduct, Jason Reed and the people that stay in Montclair, while the entities engaging in this P.O.C. All right, this is the ongoing public crash out. Okay, that's a reference in the vernacular regarding you're witnessing real-time mental illness breakdown. Okay, they're having psychotic episodes as I document them. This is what the entity was doing last night. This is exactly what I was speaking of with reference to the necessity of what is separation from the rest of the American public for the safety of those that are in this country, okay? This is severe mental instability that I'm capturing on a systematic basis regarding stalking me, that which the U.S. military has engaged in because they worship me. Okay, these are demons that engage in what are consuming my bodily fluids, engaging in homosexual activity, praying to satanic deities, engaging in what is criminal stalking, acts of obsession that is, while they are obsessed with things like my vagina and all things concerning my privacy. This is mental illness, which is going to be, again, a threat that's going to be neutralized. This is what the Ontario Fire Department were engaging in. Stalking. The fake sun sits right here. It's still right here on this sidewalk while they were standing all around. Those were demons. And these are demons. And the entities engaging in what is criminal activity. And this is, I want to be clear, the defunding of the terrorist organization, the City of Ontario. All right, this is P.O.C. The U.S. military is engaging in what is making sure that the criminal activity in the state of California is fully exposed because I'm using them. Okay, as uncompensated prostitutes, I'm using them for my prosecutorial purposes while the entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct with the U.S. military throughout California. This is P.O.C. It is currently 5:35 p.m. where there's no sun that's going to remain in Fontana, for example, for Michael Dorsey to have a helicopter flying around a sun that's over that Fontana Lewis Library, which, again, that wouldn't even be the sun, and you already know that Michael Dorsey's guilty of treason because that fake sun is over me like I documented on April 7th, published today at what is 8:35 a.m. and again at what is 9:33 a.m. where that fake sun is remaining, and you're contrasting that with Michael Dorsey terrorizing me by helicopter as the puppets in the state of California do in conformity to the U.S. government's pattern of conduct, where the U.S. government with P.O.C, this is stalking with light, are engaging in what is that pattern of conduct regarding psychological torture, levying war against American citizens, criminal stalking, levying war against American citizens, sexual violence, levying war against American citizens, and doing so, which is inherently aiding the enemies, okay? While this entity, in concert with the people of the state, this is all them levying war, they're stalking. This is activity creation. They're monitoring in furtherance of murder, aiding in that criminal objective while the government tells on all of them. All right, this is P.O.C. This is the mentally ill. They will be separated. This is the necessity of martial law. This is P.O.C. It is currently 5:36 p.m. Okay, just to be clear, this is called psychopathic pacing, where a fake sign is over a population of people that are maintaining an ongoing illusion regarding everyday life and society, and the entity that's engaging in what is referred to under the law as public corruption. This is the government keeping you under surveillance through the people of the state who do not hold the same legal status under the U.S. Constitution. They are domestic terrorists, and this is the federal prosecution for treason under Article 3, Section 3 of the U.S. Constitution. This is P.O.C. This is the entity that's prosecuted by science. NASA itself is a part of the federal prosecution, aiding in what is the prosecution of the U.S. government regarding what is criminal surveillance, which is deducible from that supernatural pattern of conduct, which includes a fake sun, that which NASA has intentionally and maliciously misled the American public, the world, about. This is P.O.C. This is understanding threat that the people of the state are. While they are keeping everyone everywhere under surveillance, they are doing so with those outside of the borders of the United States. They are treasonous stalkers engaging in what is systematic murder, systematic kidnappings with corrupt law enforcement agency. This is the purpose of the system of gang stalking, where the entity is maintaining criminal surveillance, and this is the entity that's doing so outside of what could never legitimize it. A warrant, probable cause, and there is no such thing as any legitimate interest of the government maintaining surveillance in concert with terrorists such as 9GIA 535. That does not exist, nor shall it exist. This is the entity engaging that, while you see the gang members of the Ontario Police that are going to be disbanded for treason, while I am documenting it. This is relevant to that surveillance. This is P.O.C. All right, these are the demons engaging in that P.O.C, and this is the U.S. military gang stalking through such gang members. That's a white male. He's going to prison. License 1671272, vehicle 1075. This is the entity that's engaging in conspicuous surveillance, which is the communication of a threat. The same department flying in circles over me on the opposite side of the same block. This is the same Stater Brothers where this gang stalking entity is stalking me at 10 o'clock in the morning, and they're engaging in this pattern of conduct before the world, while the world is witnessing the federal prosecution of Satan himself, who has misdirected the U.S. government with regard to what is an inevitable snare, okay? And they're going to be federally prosecuted with regard to what is betraying the United States, targeting and levying war against American citizens, which is inherently beneficial to all the enemies of this country. This is P.O.C. The people of the state are being federally prosecuted as a population, and this is the state of California. This is P.O.C. You're looking at the mental illness by those who are unfit to be in law enforcement. That mental illness is indiscriminate. That criminal activity is indiscriminate. That demon possession is indiscriminate. This is P.O.C. It is currently 5:47 p.m. and what you'll recall are the mentally ill, the corrupt, which is relevant to Bezos, a terrorist leader, in the state of California maintaining Amazon that's dipping over El Pollo Loco as though there's an airport on the opposite side of Habit Grill where there is the fake sun over me during the 7 a.m. hour. It is 5:47 where the vagina monitors of the Ontario Police Department are very troubled by every word that's coming out of my mouth right now because they're going to prison. And so is the chief of vagina monitors, Mike Lorenz. Amazon Prime is going to be federally prosecuted for treason while they are targeting me with commercial airline planes, which is the way in which the people of the state are levying war, terrorizing and psychologically torturing in order to kidnap and murder American citizens, whom the companies, the corporate entities like Amazon Prime are stalking. This is P.O.C. It is currently 5:48 p.m.
This is the Ontario Town Square, showing you the entity stalking from another vantage point. Now from here, they will be flying over the Metro 102 apartments, and they're doing so based on where I'm located at. This is where the Ontario Fire Department, these are gang stalkers. Ontario Fire Department are co-conspirators of murder with the U.S. military. They're engaging in what is criminal summoning, and that's why their entity is hovering over the Ontario Town Square townhomes, where the entity has no flights that will ever have anything to do with hovering over this townhome housing area. This is the P.O.C. and every license plate. I took a picture of them showing how they are co-conspirators of murder with the city of Ontario that is gang stalking with the U.S. military while they're engaging in what is psychopathic behavior, making U-turns in the middle of the street, pacing up and down the street, doing so with fire trucks and stalking and hovering in planes. And this is what the entity is doing while a fake sun remains over me all day long. This is the mental illness. This is the entity that engages in what is pacing in helicopters, showing the necessity of martial law in order to isolate this mentally ill and corrupt population that is demon infected, which is relevant to the behavioral health concerns that threaten the public. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 8:13 p.m. at what is Sultana and Sierra Court. There is no planes that are taking off, and this is the entity that's already prosecuted by virtue of my social media. This is P.O.C. This is Wendy's that is monitoring with the people of the state. AutoZone that's stalking in the path where I'm seated inside of the restaurant. Wendy's is monitoring with the people of the state that are maintaining light activity. This is the U.S. military that's gang stalking with shell gas. This is positioning where I'm seated inside of the restaurant where they're engaging in what is the pattern of conduct. And you have the U.S. military stalking by commercial airline planes. They were just flying on the opposite side of the street over the Ontario Town Square townhomes where the demons of the Ontario Fire Department were gang stalking, sounding sirens and lights just like they were under the fake sun at Superior Grocery at 815 North Euclid Avenue. This is P.O.C. This is the mentally ill conduct. The entire operation of federal group stalking and monitoring, which is treason, that's going to be prosecuted. The state of California that's going to be exposed for being mentally ill altogether. The entire demon-possessed population that's going to be federally prosecuted and isolated from the American public. Okay, to whom it is a threat. This is Wendy's. Okay, this is a very serious federal prosecution. Wendy's is engaged in treason. I'm going to prosecute these companies while they're engaging in surveillance. This is P.O.C.